Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to My The Asshole Podcast. Today is Thursday, and yes, this episode is coming out very late. I know, I do apologize. I so thought I had this episode already filmed and scheduled, but I didn't. I was just not thinking and doing other shit and working on other projects and all that kind of stuff. So don't worry though, I got y'all. I am emergency recording this episode for you guys, getting it out for you, because I know you guys want your King of Wrath. I know you guys want your King of Wrath, and I got you. Don't worry, we're going to be doing chapters, I believe, 31 and 32 today. So, but before we get into the book, we have our thread. So, today's thread is, what did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest? All right? So let's see what you guys' crushes have done that have just killed your interest. Okay, this was in college. We were acquaintances and had a few classes together. He was cute, funny, and I totally had a crush on him. He asked me out to dinner and a movie. At the restaurant, he ordered the most expensive things on the menu. Apps, drinks, lobster, and even dessert. When the bill came, he said, "You got this, right?" No. That's fun. I was so embarrassed I paid. Then I said I'd skip the movie because I wasn't feeling well. And he asked me to give him $20 for gas and for wasting his time. I didn't just leave. After that, he couldn't seem to understand why I didn't want to go out with him again. Bro, what the fuck? Homie ordered all of that expensive shit and then was just like, "Oh yeah, you got this, right? I see why you didn't go to the movies, because he probably would have had you pay for the movies too." And then he could be like, "Ooh, can I get popcorn?" Oh, imagine, dude. Imagine a grown-ass man asking a girl, can I get some popcorn? Can I get candy? Bruh. See, it's cute when a girl does it. All right, it's cute when a girl does it, when a girl asks you, can I get popcorn? Can I get... You know what I mean? It's cute when the girl does it. But when a grown-ass man does it, bro, and that's just like...
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Come on, man. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Yeah, I can definitely see why you did not want to fuck with him no more. What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest for them? I was giving her a place to sleep when she was feuding with her mother. After weeks of picking up after her, I dared to complain. She had a screaming fit, packed up her crap, and left. I was glad to be rid of her until later it got around to me that she was telling people on Facebook that I kicked her out for refusing to give me a blowjob. There is a lot I can forgive, but that was the first time I had ever had anyone just straight up make stuff about me. Fuck you. Yo! Now, look, I can see why her mom kicked her out and they are having screaming fights and all that shit. I could see it. If she's being that difficult, where it's like, all I'm asking is for you to clean up after yourself. Is it that hard to just fucking clean up after yourself? You're a grown adult. If you can make the mess, you can clean the mess. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, it's like, bro, I'm giving you a place to stay. You would think you would, be a little more appreciative of what I'm doing for you. Yeah, that's crazy. And then she's over here, lying through her teeth. That's some crazy shit, bro. Yeah, I would be like, I'm not talking to you anymore, because that's dangerous. You know what I mean? That's dangerous. She could fuck up your life over some shit like that. You're lucky she didn't throw the grape allegations at you. Because if she would have thrown the grape allegations, bro, cooked. But yeah, that's crazy. All right. What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest in them? Her. Why are you leaving a tip? Me, because the service was really good. Her. But she's fat. That's crazy. That is probably the most insane reason for not leaving a tip I've ever heard. Because she's fat is wild. That is some wild shit, bro. Yeah, I'd be like, yep, dropping this bitch off, never calling her again. Because that's crazy. That's super fucked up that you're going to sit there and be like, oh, she doesn't deserve to make money because she's fat. Like, bruh, that's crazy. All right, what did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest for them? Bragged about drinking and driving. He told me that he and his friends have a nothing under 100 club where they drink and then drive on the interstate going 100 miles an hour and have to send a full-length Snapchat video of the speedometer to each other. 2 of my friends had been killed in a drunk driver 3 months prior. Bro, run! Run, because this motherfucker's gonna get you. You know what I mean? This man is gonna get you unalived fucking around with him. You know? Bro, that's crazy. Like, why would you think that that would be an okay thing to do and that that's fun? Like, no, man. That doesn't sound fun. That just sounds stupid and reckless. You're just playing with your life. Man. Yeah, nah. That boy gonna be on a t-shirt one day. That's why I look at it like, run as fast as you can. You know what I mean? It ain't worth it. That's crazy. Okay. What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest for them? We went to Disneyland where I had an annual pass with my friends and family for an event called Dapper Day, where you dress up in dapper clothes so everyone looks very old-timey. I had done it for years with my friends and he wanted to come. And my mom and siblings were going for the first time too. I was really excited as it was the first time he had ever met my family. And obviously she has a crush on him. So she's like, yeah. So, all right. Well, we went on a ride with my family and my friends. And then he said, do you want to go on a ride just me and you? She was probably like, yes, I do. I thought we'd come back and spend the rest of the day with them, but as soon as we were out of earshot, he was complaining about my family and how weird it was that they were there and he wanted to do Disney with just me. But he had known they were coming, so I was confused. Then we went on one more ride, and he started complaining about how hot it was, how tired he was, and before lunch, he wanted to go home. I was super upset, but didn't want to leave him on his own, so I just went with him. But on the way home, I wish I had just let him leave and I could have stayed with all the people I loved. It was the first time in years my sister and my mom had been to Disneyland, and I didn't know it then, but it was the last time I got to go with my brothers before they grow up. And now they hate me. Oh, wow. He was just some dude I dated, not a boyfriend or anything that lasted very long. I'm still so mad at myself for letting him ruin my day, but yeah, it absolutely killed anything I felt for him, and we broke up a few days later. Yeah, facts. Because if you're going to sit there and you're just going to whine and complain the whole time, dude, that is so unattractive. Even as a guy, you know, when you take a girl to go do something, And she just complains the entire time. Oh, my feet hurt. And oh, I'm tired. And oh, I don't want to do this. And oh, I can't wait to go home. And blah, blah. That shit is annoying. It's the most unattractive thing you can ever do. Because it's one of those things where it's like, dude, we're here to have a good time. We're here to enjoy ourselves. Like, yeah, I'm hot too. Yeah, my feet hurt too. Yes, you know, it sucks to be in these situations, but you're not the only one in these situations. You know what I mean? Like, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And so it's one of those things where it's like, dude, if you're going to just sit there and complain and whine and cry like a little bitch boy all day, like, imagine if we were somewhere else, or we were doing something else, and you were whining and crying and complaining. And then the fact that he was complaining about your family, woo, that one is yeah, bro. That one's a huge red flag. Oh my God, that one's a huge red flag, because you want it to be a thing where you want your significant other to at least be cordial. You know, they don't have to like them, they don't have to love them, but at least they can be cordial, and you get to spend time with your family, and you get to spend time with your significant other at the same time, you know. But if it's one of those things where it's just like either one of them can't stand each other, a lot of times the relationship ain't worth it. You know, a lot of times the relationship's just not worth it. Man, that's crazy. All right, what did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest for them? Revealed his list of conquests. Not even my brother knows how many women I've slept with. Then he offered to take my virginity in the back of his pickup truck, and I passed. Okay. So he literally was just like, hey, do you want to see the list of all the women that I've slept with? And I'm sure, stupidly, she was probably just like, yeah, sure, why not? And then he's like, oh, yeah, look at all that. I'm just scrolling, man. I'm out here just scrolling. Oh, it's great, man. And then he was just like, you want to fuck in the back of my pickup truck? And I'm sure she was just like, I'm good, bro. Take me home, man. You know what I mean? Like, take me home. I'm good. I'm fucking done with your bullshit. Because it's like, dude, why in the hell would you think that she would be like, oh my God, you slept with all these girls? Oh, swoon. Nigga.
Bruh.
Like, come on, man. What are we doing here? Like, I don't know why you thought that was gonna grease the wheels, because that's what was going on in his head. He was like, oh, I'm gonna show her all these girls that I fucked, and that's just gonna grease the wheels. And then when I hit her with the, yeah, you want to fuck in the back of my pickup truck, she gonna be ready, baby. She's gonna be ready to go. Stupid. Oh my God, yeah, I can see why you stopped liking that dude. I ain't gonna lie to you on that one. All right, what did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest for them? I'm black. She's black. Our crush was mutual. Then she found out that I was once in a relationship with a white woman. She then jumped down the rabbit hole of my betrayal of the black family and some other nonsense of my trauma of self-hatred. Never been turned off by anything faster in my life, bro. Oh my, that type of stuff right there annoys the absolute shit out of me. I'm like, do you hear what's coming out of your fucking mouth? Like, you're gonna literally not date someone because of the color of their skin? Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, didn't black people fight to be better than that? You know what I mean? Like, I thought that's what the whole marching and all that, and, you know, and them getting sprayed with hoses, and, you know, Martin Luther King having a dream and all that. Like, that's what all that was for. So we can be better than that, not join them. Like, what the fuck, man? That stuff, I swear it never ceases to just, like, blow my mind. That there are black people that feel that that is the right way to think. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to be discriminatory towards other people, other races, and I'm not going to date them or be with them. And it's like, no, you connect with the person regardless of their race, color, creed. You know what I mean? Because that's the person you connect with. That's the person that you love. That's the person that you're. Like I said, I can't understand that thought process. There is never a thing where I would look at a girl and be like, oh, I'm not dating her because she is X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Like, no fucking way, man. No way. Like, I will date a girl of any color and creed and race and whatever, as long as she is, I connect with her and she's got what I'm looking for in a relationship and we bond and we're good. I'm all for it. You know, I'm just saying that's just a crazy mindset to have. You know what I mean? That is a crazy mindset to have. And that's why for me, I would have just been like, cool, I'm dipping. I'm good on you, peace and chicken grease, you know, because nah. Nah, man. Nah. That's crazy. All right, on to our next one. What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest in them? He talked about how he and his friends used to abuse farm cats. They talked about one that was buried and then run over. I did a quick 180 and absolutely hated him. Facts. What do you mean you enjoy mutilating cats? Bro. Yeah, serial killer much? You know what I mean? Hey. Serial killer much? Girl, I'm glad you ran out as fast as you could because you probably would have been next. I ain't gonna lie to you. You probably would have been next. You would have been on that chopping block of like, ooh, you know, killing these cats is a lot of fun. What if we do it to that old girl that you be bringing around? Oh, yeah. Oh, we can overpower her. And no. And then you out here in a basement chained up to a fucking pipe or some shit. No. Yeah, man. Hey. Niggas are crazy. All right, what did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest in him? She asked if things didn't work out, if I would mind if she went out with my roommate. I said I couldn't possibly do that to him and left. She asked if things didn't work out, if I would mind if she... Oh, okay. He said that weird. So she pretty much was just like, hey, so if like... this doesn't work out, can I date your roommate? And then what that tells me is that she was only using you to get to the roommate. Let's be honest here, bro. She was using you to get to the roommate because that's who she really liked. Like, come on, man. Oh, it's so blatant. It's so blatant. It's crazy. Yeah, she was only using you to get to the roommate, my guy. That sucks. I would have picked up on that immediately, and I would have just been like, yeah, no, I'm done with you. It's over. And I guarantee you she probably went for the roommate regardless. Oh, I guarantee you she probably went for the roommate regardless. She was just like, oh, well, doesn't seem like he has interest in me anymore, but, you know, I'm going to go for the roommate now. And he probably still had to, like, go through that. Go through watching this girl date his roommate. Oh, damn. That's gotta suck. All right, what did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest in them? He tried to discreetly take photos of my feet. Okay. Nothing against people who are into that, but the way he was going about it was super creepy. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little weird. Like... I would think that all you'd have to do is ask her. I don't think there's too many girls that would just be like, no. You know what I mean? Like if you're involved with somebody, right? And you guys are talking and getting to know each other in the romantical sense. And homeboy was like, oh, you know, could I take a picture of your feet? Like, you know, I don't think she would say no. I really don't. I don't think she would say no. I think she would kind of be a little weirded out at first, but then she'd probably think like, oh, well, yeah, no harm in it. Like, all right, go ahead, you know. Hey, yeah. You women be finding some weird men. You know what I mean? I really think it's one of those things where these dudes are like attractive on the outside, and then when the girl gets to know them, dude is just mad fucking weird. You know what I mean? He's just mad fucking weird for no reason. They're just like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? I don't know if that's true. Ladies, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, that's what it'd be seeming like. It'd be seeming like these dudes are attractive to the girl, and then they get to know the guy, and bro is just a weirdo. Like, man. All right. I'm going to do two more in this thread. What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest for them? She asked me if I was good with kids because she was pregnant with her exes and that she's not good with kids. It was our first date.
Bruh.
What? Girl, why are you dating? Well, okay, first off, why are you even having the kid? You know? Like, why are you even having the kid? Like, adoption should be like the first thing on your mind if you're going to go through with it and having the kid, or, you know, terminating the pregnancy. Whichever way she wants to go about it, like, these should be her first thought processes, not I'm going to go get a man and hopefully he's good with kids and will want to take care of my ex's child. And be okay with me saying that on the first date. Bruh. What? That is crazy talk. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Why would that come to your mind? Why would the first thought be, oh, let me just go get a man and, you know, I'll just tell him that I'm pregnant and that it's my ex's baby and hopefully he's good with kids and he'll be cool with it. He'll be fine. Everything will be copacetic straight. Like, no, not really. You're a little crazy. You're a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know, just a little bit. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, like your first thoughts should be either terminating the pregnancy or, you know, putting it up for adoption. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? That's crazy talk. Wow. All right, let's get to our last one in this thread. What did your crush do that absolutely killed your interest in them? We were teenagers. He lived in a different province, and we used to chat on Skype. He wanted me to think he was a badass or something and would always talk about his drug use. He ended up faking a heroin overdose when we were on chat together. I was hysterically crying and freaking out thinking I was watching someone dying and was trying to figure out how to call 911 in another province when he snapped out of it and told me he was actually okay. I didn't talk to him much after that. What the fuck? That honestly used to be a big thing. I won't lie to you. Back in the day, I had a lot of friends that would try to impress girls by like smoking cigarettes and you know what I mean? Like they would be like, oh yeah, you know, I smoke cigarettes and I'm super cool and this and that. You know, and obviously this was before like weed was really more mainstream drug. Well, not really mainstream, but it just wasn't as popular with the youth as it is today. And so, you know, cigarettes were kind of the cool thing back in my day, you know. And so, you know, everybody always thought, oh yeah, he's so grown up and he's so mature. He smokes cigarettes. And what they would do is they would like fake cancer and shit and be like, oh yeah, girl, oh, I don't have much, you know, I got cancer and this and that. And the girls would eat that shit. Oh my God. Oh, and I'm just like, what the fuck? How is this working? You know what I mean? It was weird. It was the weirdest shit ever, but you know what I mean? Game was the game at the at the end of the day, you know? So, yeah. But that's going to go ahead and be today's thread. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have ever had a crush on somebody and they did something that just totally threw you off and was like, I don't want to be with them no more, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. we're going to hop to announcements, then we'll get right into our book. So, patreon.com/MyTheAsshole Get an exclusive episode every single Friday, as well as being able to send in your scenario to be featured on the Tuesday and Sunday show. Audio listeners, thank you guys for all the support. You guys are the real goats, and I appreciate you guys coming out every week. I do apologize that this episode is late, but I was still able to get it up on a Thursday for you guys. So, thank you for all the support. Appreciate you so very much. If you want to help out even more, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube. Subscribing on YouTube and all that is free, and it helps out so very much. Thank you guys so much, and let's get on into the book without further ado. All right.
Chapter 31. Dante. We found all of them. I stilled. Are you sure? I'd almost let Christian's call roll to voicemail. I wanted to enjoy my last night in Paris with Vivian, but my curiosity had gotten the better of me. He wouldn't call unless he had a major update. I was right. Yes, we have eyes on all 8 locations, Christian said. Just say the word and you'll be free of the Laos forever. My hand closed tight around my phone. I waited for the relief to rush in. The joy, the triumph, the fucking vindication now that I could take down Francis the way I dreamed of for months. Nothing came. Instead, my stomach hollowed like Christian's words had sucked all the air out of it. I glanced through the doorway at Vivian. I stood outside the restaurant's entrance, far enough she couldn't hear what I was saying, but close enough to glimpse her soft, content smile as she gazed out at the city. A burn radiated in my chest. She looked so fucking happy. Even with the last-minute trip and the upcoming legacy ball, she'd come alive in Paris in a way that made me want to stay here with her forever. No blackmail, no Francis, no society bullshit, just us. Because this was, most likely, our last trip together. Dante? Christian prompted. I tore my eyes away from Vivian. I heard you. The onset of a migraine crawled behind my temples. What about the business side? Also ready to go. Good. The sentiment scraped past my tight throat. And our other project with the startup? I was stalling. I should have given Christian the go-ahead the second he confirmed we found all of Francis's backups, but something prevented the words from reaching my tongue. Heath's company has run into some trouble. Satisfaction filled Christian's drawl. The software has been plagued with issues lately. Employees are nervous, investors are spooked, IPO looks dead in the water. It's deeply unfortunate. Very. I recognized the hypocrisy, considering what Christian and I had planned would push her away forever. But I didn't give a fuck. I'd never been logical when it came to her. She was my one spark of selfishness in a lifetime of reason. Honestly, it was so easy it was almost boring. Christian yawned. Now that that's out of the way, what do you want me to do about Francis? I didn't respond. I didn't know how to. I heard the heaviness of his pause over the line. Let me remind you, this is what you've been working toward for 8 months, he said. The man blackmailed you and threatened your brother's life. I'm well aware, I snapped. I pushed a hand through my hair, trying to think through the pressure squeezing my skull. The hypothetical sequence of events following my go-ahead played before my mind's eye like a movie on fast-forward. Christian destroys the evidence and torpedoes Lao Jules. Vivian hears the news about her family's livelihood going up in flames. I tell her the truth about the blackmail. She leaves. The pressure spread to my chest. Fuck. If I had a heart attack in the middle of the Eiffel Tower while on a call with Christian, I'd never hear the end of it. Your call, Russo. His voice turned impatient. What's our next move? He didn't say it, but I heard the warning in his voice. He knew exactly why I was hesitating, and he was less than impressed. I closed my eyes. My migraine pounded with increasing ferocity.
I'm not my family.
The man blackmailed you and threatened your brother's life. Say the word and you'll be free of the Laos forever. I had to get rid of the blackmail. No matter my feelings for Vivian, it was my brother's life on the line, and I couldn't risk those photos leaking. Romano would skin him alive if he found out Luca had touched any woman in his family, much less his beloved niece. If I destroyed the blackmail, there was nothing keeping me from taking vengeance on Francis. I could let bygones be bygones, but he didn't deserve it. Next time you see your brother, you should tell him to be more careful. Francis had the smile of a snake who'd just come across trapped prey. I would hate for these photos to get into Romano's hands. I didn't touch the folder on my desk. I'd seen enough. I didn't need to go through every fucking picture. Anyway, I'm sure you're busy, so I won't take up any more of your time. Francis stood and smoothed the hand over his tie. Think about what I said. A marriage with my daughter would be quite beneficial, especially for the longevity of your family. His smile widened, revealing sharp incisors. Wouldn't you agree? The memory dredged up every emotion from that meeting and poured them into the pit of my stomach. The shock, the disbelief, the fucking rage at both my brother and the bastard who had the balls to show up uninvited to my office and blackmail me. No, Francis Lau didn't deserve any mercy from me. I turned my back to the dining room. Cold finality settled in my chest as I made my decision. Take him down. After I hung up, I returned to dinner and tried my best to act normal. Vivian didn't say anything at the restaurant, but when we returned to our hotel, she cast a concerned look at me.
Is everything okay?
She asked.
You've been quiet since the call.
Everything's fine. I shrugged off my jacket and avoided her eyes. Just annoyed it interrupted our dinner.
It was still a good dinner.
She sighed and sat on the bed with a dreamy smile.
I'll dream of that dessert for the rest of my life.
The dessert and not me? I'm offended. Vivian rolled her eyes.
Not everything revolves around you, Dante.
It should. I smiled at the way her nose scrunched, even as my heart twisted. On the surface, our banter was playful as always, but a clock ticked beneath the lightheartedness, audible only to me as it counted down our moments together. I should tell her the truth. If not now, then when we landed in New York. She'd find out sooner or later, and I wanted her to hear it from me. But the thought of telling her about the blackmail and shattering the last idealistic notion she had of her father, of confessing to what I'd authorized Christian to do, it tore at me like a knife in the chest. These were our last moments together, and I was selfish enough to hoard them to myself. Vivian let out a breathless laugh when I pushed her onto her back and straddled her, my movements gentle enough she landed with a soft thud rather than something more jarring. She stared up at me, her earlier mock annoyance melting into a smile that made my heart ache. Last night in France, I lowered my head so my lips grazed hers with each word. I wonder how we should spend it.
Well, I'd originally planned to take a long bath, read, maybe put on that face mask you said makes me look like Jason from Friday the 13th.
Vivian mused, her eyes glinting with laughter and banked heat.
But perhaps you have a better idea?
I might. I placed a soft kiss on her mouth as I slowly unzipped her dress. The silky material slackened and I gently lifted her so I could ease off the rest of her clothes. Normally I would have been too impatient to go this slow, but tonight I let my touch linger on every curve and dip. I mapped her body with my mouth and hands, caressing her breasts through her bra and tugging her underwear off with my teeth, inch by torturous inch, until she whimpered with frustration.
Dante, please.
She breathed, her skin flushed with pleasure even though I'd barely touched her yet. My groan vibrated against her skin. I wanted to drag this night out as long as possible, but I couldn't deny her anything. Not when she was looking at me with those eyes and pleading with me in that voice. I tossed her underwear to the side and took in the perfect sight in front of me. Fuck, baby, you're so wet for me. She whimpered again when I gently scraped my teeth over her clit. Once, twice, letting her warm up to the sensation before I drew the sensitive butt into my mouth and sucked. Vivian's escalating cries were music to my ears as I brought her to her first orgasm of the night. I could listen to her forever. The soft moans, the little gasps and whimpers, and the way she called my name when she came on my tongue. It was the sweetest, dirtiest symphony I'd ever heard. She was still coming down from her high when I slid inside her. Another groan climbed up my throat at how tight and wet she was. Her body fit mine the way the ocean hugged the shore, naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. I held still, kissing my way up her neck and capturing her mouth in a kiss before I started moving. Vivian's sighs of pleasure vibrated through my body as I glided in and out of her in a slow, sensual rhythm. It took all my willpower to maintain an unhurried pace when she felt so fucking perfect, but I wanted to savor every second. Eventually, however, my control slipped, and I picked up my pace. I bit back a curse when she arched into me, taking me deeper still.
Faster.
She begged, her voice breathy with desire.
Please.
I gritted my teeth, my muscles taut with the strain of holding back my release. Sweat beaded along my forehead. Se sapessi il potere che hai su di me, I said, my voice ragged. I paused for a second before I gripped her hips and gave her what she asked for, fucking into her harder and faster until her nails dug grooves in my back. Vivian's eyes were half closed, her cheeks flushed with pleasure and her lips half parted as moan after moan poured out. She looked so beautiful I almost couldn't believe she was real. My gaze lingered on her face, trying to imprint every detail to memory before I kissed her again. I swallowed her cry of release as she clamped around me. I held on for another minute before my control finally snapped and my own orgasm washed through me in a hot, blinding rush.
Well?
Vivian breathed after I rolled onto my side next to her.
That was definitely more fun than a bath.
I chuckled even as guilt edged back into my consciousness and carved a hole in my chest. My ego thanks you for the confirmation.
Tell it you're welcome.
She yawned and snuggled closer to me, draping one arm and leg over my body.
This was the perfect last night.
She murmured.
We should
Another yawn.
come to Paris more often. Next time,
A third yawn.
let's go to...
Her drowsy voice trailed off into silence. I pressed my lips to the top of her head as her breath slowed into a deep, even rhythm. I tried to sleep, but the heavy ache in my chest left me restless. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, counting her breaths, wondering how many more we had left before everything fell apart. It would take Christian 1 day to destroy the evidence, 1 or 2 for Francis to realize what happened, depending on how closely he monitored the backup sites, and a couple more for the effects of the business takedown to be noticeable. Realistically, I could tell Vivian the truth when we landed in New York. I'd rather her hear it from me than her father, who would undoubtedly try to twist things in a way that made him look like the victim. But, fuck, I couldn't drop a bombshell on her just like that. At the same time, I couldn't pretend everything was okay and allow her in even more than I already had, not when our break was inevitable. Other people spent years trying to get close to me. Vivian didn't even have to try. Every minute we spent together was another chip away at my defenses, whether she knew it or not. If I let her father off the hook, I could maybe salvage what we had. Even if she found he was a piece of shit, she was too loyal to her family to forgive me for destroying them. And if she was, by some miracle, okay with me taking down her father, could our relationship survive the aftermath? I damn sure wasn't going to sit across from the Laos at Thanksgiving every year and make nice, and I doubt they'd welcome me anyway. I couldn't keep her, and I couldn't let her go. Not yet. I closed my eyes, trying to find the best way out of this clusterfuck. Logic told me I'd already stolen my moments with her tonight, and that I needed to distance myself before I fell any deeper. Emotion told me to fuck logic and tell it to shove its reason up its ass. My head or my heart. One of them would win. I just didn't know which one.
Chapter 32. Vivian. I left Paris on a blissful high. Delicious food, beautiful clothes, amazing sex. I'd worked during my time there, but it had felt like more of a vacation than some of my actual vacations. Plus, the legacy ball planning was finally running smoothly, wedding prep was on track, and my relationship with Dante was the best it had ever been. Life was good. It was awful, Sloane said as we exited the movie theater. What was with the airplane scene? And the love confession! I would throw up if anyone compared me to the planet Venus, especially after knowing me for only 3 weeks. How could anyone possibly fall in love in 3 weeks? Isabella and I traded amused glances. We'd had to postpone our movie night due to my Paris trip, but we'd finally watched the rom-com Sloane had been hounding us about. As expected, she hated it. Time works differently in fiction, I said. You know you can stop watching these movies any time, right? I hate watch them, Vivian. It's therapeutic. Mm-hmm. I caught Isabella's eye again, and we both turned away so Sloane couldn't see our smiles. Anyway, I have to go home and feed the fish before he dies on me. Sloane sounded like the task was equivalent to scrubbing the subway tunnels clean with a toothbrush. I have enough on my plate without having to deal with a dead animal. She'd kept the goldfish her apartment's previous tenant left behind, but she refused to give him a proper name since its presence in her life was temporary. It had been over a year. Isabella and I knew better than to mention it, though, so we simply bid her good night and parted ways. I stopped by Dante's favorite Thai place on the way home. Greta was on her annual leave in Italy, so we were on our own, food-wise, for the next few weeks. Is Dante home yet? I asked Edward when I returned to the penthouse.
Yes, ma'am. He's in his office.
Great, thank you. I'd tried to get Edward to call me by my first name when I first moved in, but I gave up after 2 months. I knocked on Dante's office door and waited for his
Come in.
before I entered. He sat behind his desk, his brow furrowed as he stared at something on his monitor. He must have just gotten home since he still wore his office suit. Hey, I placed the food on the table and kissed him on the cheek. It's after work hours. You're supposed to be relaxing.
It's not after work hours in Asia.
He pushed back from his desk and rubbed his temple. He eyed the takeout bag on the desk.
What's this?
Dinner? I retrieved the assorted plastic containers, napkins, and utensils. From that Thai place you like so much on East 78th. I wasn't sure what you were in the mood for, so I got curry puffs, basil stir-fry, and... I opened the last container with a flourish. There's signature duck salad. Dante loved that duck salad. One time he pushed back a call with the editor-in-chief of Mode de Vie just so he could eat it while it was still hot. He stared at it, his expression inscrutable.
Thank you, but I'm not hungry.
He turned back to his computer.
I really have to get this done in the next hour. Can you close the door on your way out?
My smile melted at his brusque tone. He'd been acting a little distant since we returned to New York 2 days ago, but tonight was the first time he'd been so blatantly dismissive. Okay, I tried to keep my voice upbeat. But you still have to eat. I'll leave this here in case you get hungry later. I paused, then added, How's work going? Overall, I mean. He was under a lot of stress with various supply chain issues and the upcoming Cannes Film Festival, of which the Russo Group was a sponsor. I couldn't blame him for being a bit short-tempered.
Fine.
He didn't look away from his screen. Tension lined his stiff shoulders and shadowed his features. He looked like a completely different person from the teasing, playful Dante in Paris. If anything's wrong, you can talk to me about it, I said softly. You know that, right? Dante's throat worked with a hard swallow. When the silence stretched without any sign of a break, I gathered my portion of the dinner and ate it alone in the dining room. The food smelled delicious, but when I swallowed it, it tasted like cardboard. Dante's broodiness didn't improve over the next week. Maybe it was work. Maybe it was something else. Whatever it was, it transformed him back into the cold, closed-off version of himself that made me want to tear my hair out. The change in his attitude before and after Paris was so jarring, I felt like we'd stumbled into a time portal and become stranded in the early days of our engagement. He didn't visit me for lunch. He was always busy during dinner, and he didn't come to bed until long after I was asleep. When I woke up, he was already gone. We talked almost less than we had sex, which was never. I tried to be understanding because everyone had their dark periods. But by the time the following Thursday rolled around, my patience had edged into the red zone. The straw that broke the camel's back came that evening, when I returned home from work to find Dante in the kitchen with Greta. She'd just gotten back from visiting her family in Naples, or Napoli, as she called it in Italian. However, she was already hard at work again. The Marble Island encounters groaned beneath the weight of various herbs, sauces, fish, and meats. The smell beckoned me from the foyer, but when I entered the room, both she and Dante fell silent. "Good evening, Miss Lau," Greta said. When we were alone, she called me Vivian, but around other people, I was always Miss Lau. "Good evening." I scanned the banquet-worthy prep. "Are we having a party I don't know about? This seems like a lot of food for 2 people. "It is," she said after a brief pause. She frowned and flicked a glance at a stone-faced Dante before busying herself with the food. My heart accelerated. "Are we having a party?"
Of course not.
Dante said when Greta remained silent. He didn't give me a chance to relax before he added,
Christian and his girlfriend are coming over for dinner tonight. They're in town for a few days.
"Tonight?" I glanced at the clock. "Dinner is in less than 3 hours."
Which is why I came home early.
Breathe. Do not yell. Do not throw the bowl of tomatoes at his head. "Were you going to tell me we're expecting guests, or was this supposed to be a surprise?" My fingers strangled the strap of my bag. "Or am I not invited to the meal altogether?" Greta chopped faster, her eyes fixed firmly on the garlic.
Don't be ridiculous.
Dante said. Ridiculous? Ridiculous? My patience snapped clean in half. I'd tried my best to be sympathetic, but I was sick of him treating me like a stranger he was forced to share a house with. After the magic of Paris and the progress we'd made over the past few months, our relationship had suddenly regressed to where it had been the summer of last year. Then it had been understandable. Now, after all we'd shared, it was unacceptable. "Which part is ridiculous?" I demanded. "The part where I ask my fiancé for the common courtesy of informing me when we have guests over to our house? Or the part where we've grown so far apart in the space of 1 week that I wouldn't be surprised if you did exclude me? I'd like to know because I'm damn well not the one being unreasonable here." Greta's knife hovered, suspended, over the cutting board while she gaped at me with wide eyes. It was the first time I'd raised my voice in front of her since I moved in, and only the 4th time I'd raised my voice ever. The first had been when my sister borrowed and lost one of my favorite signed books in high school. The second had been when my parents forced me to break up with Heath, and the third had been the night Dante found Heath in the apartment. Dante's skin stretched taut over his cheekbones. The tension was so stifling it took on a life of its own, crawling into my lungs and sinking into my skin. The air-conditioned room blazed like we were in the middle of the desert at high noon. "I just remembered I'm expecting a grocery delivery soon," Greta said. "Let me check where they are." She dropped her knife and bolted faster than an Olympian competing for gold. Normally, I would have been embarrassed about making a scene, but I was too fired up to care.
It's a dinner.
Dante growled.
Christian didn't tell me he'd be in town until yesterday. You're making a big deal out of nothing.
Then you could have told me he was coming over yesterday. My voice rose again before I forced more oxygen through my nose. It's not about the dinner, Dante. It's about your refusal to communicate like a normal person. I thought we were past this. Emotion clogged my throat. We promised we wouldn't do this. Act like strangers. Shut down whenever things got hard. We're supposed to be partners. Dante rubbed a hand over his face. When it fell away, I glimpsed the conflict in his eyes. Remorse and guilt at war with frustration and something else that chilled the breath in my lungs.
There are some things you're better off not knowing, Miyakata.
The endearment I'd initially despised and grown to love barely touched my skin before it dissolved. Soft yet rough, like the churn of waves in a raging storm. The wistful notes lingered for an extra beat before his face shut down again.
I'll see you at dinner.
He walked out, leaving me with a pit in my stomach and the unshakable sense that our relationship had somehow been fundamentally altered. Chapter 33. Vivian. Dante and I barely exchanged a word during dinner. I did, however, push his fish into his vegetables when he wasn't looking, and delighted in his look of absolute horror when he saw his food had touched. Besides that one petty act of retribution for his behavior, I focused my attention on Christian and his girlfriend Stella. Christian was perfectly charming, as always, but something about him made me uneasy. He reminded me of a wolf dressed in perfectly tailored sheep's clothing. Stella, on the other hand, was warm and friendly, if a bit shy. We spent the majority of dinner discussing travel, astrology, and her new ambassadorship with the fashion label Delamonte, which was, coincidentally, a Russo Group brand. As far as last-minute dinner guests went, it could have been much worse. After dessert, I took Stella on a tour of the penthouse while Dante and Christian discussed business. It was mostly an excuse to catch my breath after hours of underlying tension between me and Dante, but I genuinely enjoyed Stella's company. "Don't ask," I said when she tilted her head at one of the paintings in the gallery. The hideous piece stood out like a sore thumb amongst all the Picassos and Rembrandts. I don't know why Dante bought that. He usually has more discerning taste. "It must be worth a lot of money," Stella said as we made our way back to the dining room. "Apparently. Proof price isn't always indicative of quality," I said dryly. Our footsteps echoed against the marble floors, but my steps slowed when I heard the familiar rumble of Dante's voice trickling through his office door. I hadn't realized they'd moved from the dining room.
Can't keep Magda forever,
he said.
You should be glad I didn't throw it in the trash after the stunt you pulled with Vivian and Heath.
My throat dried at the unexpected mention of my and Heath's names. What stunt? Save for an awkward phone call during which I'd checked on his nose, less bruised than his ego, and told him we shouldn't be in contact anymore, I hadn't talked to Heath since he showed up at the apartment. I also couldn't imagine why Christian would take an interest in either of us. How did he even know Heath? He was big in the cyber world, and Heath owned a tech startup, but that connection seemed tenuous at best.
It's a fucking painting, not a wild animal,
Christian said.
As for Vivian, it's been months, and it worked out fine. Let it go. If you're still pissed, you shouldn't have invited me to dinner. Be glad things worked out fine with Vivian.
Dante's tone could have iced the inside of a volcano. I swallowed, trying to moisten the sudden desert in my throat. It didn't work. I couldn't contain my cough any longer. The sound spilled out of me and cut his sentence short. 2 seconds later, the door swung open, revealing 2 surprised and none too pleased faces. A faint hint of red colored Dante's cheekbones when he saw me.
I see you finished the tour early.
Sorry, Stella spoke up, looking embarrassed. We were on our way to the dining room and heard... She trailed off, obviously not wanting to admit we'd been eavesdropping, even though that was clearly what we were doing. I should jump in and save her, but all I could do was give a forced smile as Christian and Stella thanked us for dinner and quickly excused themselves. What Heath stunt was he talking about? I found my voice in the silence following their departure.
Nothing you need to worry about.
Dante's clipped voice didn't match the darkening red of his cheeks.
He was being an asshole, as always.
Considering he mentioned me and my ex-boyfriend by name, I think I do need to worry about it. I crossed my arms. I won't stop asking, so you might as well tell me now. More silence.
Christian was the one who sent the text to Heath.
He finally said.
The one that was supposedly from you.
My stomach hollowed, and icy shock rushed to fill the void. Why would he do that?
I told you, because he's an asshole.
A small pause, then a reluctant.
I may have provoked him, but he's easily provoked.
That's why you came home early, I realized.
In all my years as CEO, I've only cut a work trip short twice, Vivian, and both those instances were because of you.
I'd glossed over the specifics of what he said at the time because I'd been too distracted by everything else happening. But his words suddenly made sense. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I regretted eating so much at dinner. I was starting to feel nauseous. Even when I said I didn't know how he got the text, you didn't say anything.
It was irrelevant.
That wasn't for you to decide. I eased a deep breath into my lungs. I don't know what you did to Christian, but I don't appreciate being used as a pawn in whatever game you two are playing. I felt like enough of a pawn with my parents. I didn't want or need to feel that way with Dante, too.
It's not a game.
Dante gritted out.
Christian got pissed and did something stupid. What would me telling you have accomplished? You would have just gotten upset over something that already happened.
The fact you don't know what the problem is the problem. I turned, too tired to argue anymore. Find me when you're ready to talk like an adult. Relationships were a give and take, and right now, I was tired of giving. The next morning, I woke up early to clear my head in Central Park. After 45 minutes of aimless wandering, last night's embers of indignation still flickered in my stomach, so I did what I always did when I needed to vent. I called my sister. She grew up with our parents, too, and she'd gone through the whole arranged marriage process. If anyone understood me, she did. Have you ever wanted to murder Gunnar? The number of times I'd considered murder since I got engaged to Dante was alarming. Maybe it was a quirk of being married or almost married. Agnes laughed. On multiple occasions, usually when he refuses to pick up his socks or ask for directions when we're already late. But I don't have the stomach for blood, so he's safe. For now. I huffed out a laugh. If only my problems were as simple as socks on the ground. Uh-oh, did you and Dante get in a fight? Yes and no. I briefly summarized what happened, starting with his weird attitude shift after Paris and ending with the revelation about the text last night. I hadn't realized how long we'd gone without talking until now. Agnes and I used to call each other every week, but it was harder now with our schedules and her living in Europe. Wow, Agnes said after I finished. You've had an interesting few weeks. Tell me about it. I ran the toe of my leather Chloe flat along a crack in the ground. My mother would yell at me about scuffing my shoe, but she wasn't here, so I didn't care what she would say. I feel like we're regressing, I said. We were doing so well. He was opening up, communicating, and now we're back to square one. He's silent and withdrawn, and I'm frustrated. I can't do this for the rest of my life, Aggie. Oh my God. We'll be the couple in the Netflix documentary, I realized, horrified. Love and Murder, the couple next door. What? Never mind. Okay, here's what I think. You're not back to square one, she said. Remember when you first got engaged? You couldn't stand each other. You've come a long way since then, even if you've taken a few steps back recently. I sighed. I hate how you're always right. That's why I'm the older sister, she quipped. Look, Gunnar and I weren't huge fans of each other when we met either. There was a point during the engagement when I came this close to calling the whole thing off. My foot stopped fidgeting. Really? But you two are so in love. We are now, but it wasn't a love that hit us at first sight, or second, or third. We had to work for it, Agnes said. 2 days before we visited Mom and Dad for Lunar New Year, remember when Mom freaked out about the sticky rice balls not being sticky enough? We got lost during a hike and had a huge fight. I was ready to throw my ring over the side of the mountain and push Gunnar after it. But we survived, as did our relationship. A dog barked in the background, and Agnes waited for it to quiet before continuing. No one's perfect. Sometimes our partners will do things that drive us mad. I know I have habits Gunnar can't stand, but the difference between the couples who make it and those who don't is 1, understanding what your deal breakers are, and 2, being willing to stick it out through the issues that aren't deal breakers. You should be a relationship counselor, I said. Your talent is wasted on jewelry marketing. She laughed. I'll keep that in mind. Just don't tell Dad, or he'll make you take the chief marketing officer role. I wrinkled my nose at the prospect. Would you have really called off the wedding? Agnes had always been the better daughter out of the two of us. More accommodating, less sarcastic. I couldn't resist a subtle dig now and then, but she was unfailingly genteel at home. Mom and Dad would have probably disowned me, she finished. I know. But as much as I wanted to make them happy, I couldn't have tied myself to someone I didn't like for the rest of my life. That's one thing I've realized now that I'm older, Vivi. You can't live your life trying to please others. You can be courteous and respectful, and you can compromise, but when it comes down to it, it's your life. Don't waste it. Emotion tangled in my throat. I wasn't sad or upset, but Agnes's words hit me somewhere that made tears prickle the backs of my eyes. But it all worked out for you, I said. My sister and her husband Gunnar were the epitome of rustic wedded bliss. When he wasn't in Athenberg for parliamentary proceedings, they spent their time shopping at the local farmers' market and cooking together. Their countryside manor in Eldora looked like something out of a fairy tale, complete with 2 horses, 3 dogs, and, randomly, 1 sheep. Our mom refused to stay there whenever she visited because she hated how the animals shed everywhere. I think that only encouraged Agnes to get more pets. Yes, I'm very lucky. Agnes's voice softened. Like I said, it took time and effort, but we figured it out. I think you and Dante can too. I may not be entrenched in East Coast society circles anymore, but I'm well aware of his reputation. He wouldn't have opened up the way he had if he didn't have deep feelings for you. The question is, do you have the same feelings toward him? I stared across the lake at the buildings gleaming in the distance. I stood at the far end of the Gapstow Bridge, one of my favorite places in Central Park. The crowds were starting to trickle in, but it was early enough I could still hear the birds chirping in the background. Dante was out there, eating, showering, and doing normal everyday things that shouldn't have the impact they had on me. But as mad as I was at him, and as withdrawn as he'd been, just knowing he existed made me feel a little less alone. Yes, I said quietly. I do. I figured as much. I heard the smile in Agnes's voice. Do you still need to vent, or do you feel better? I'm okay for now. Thanks for keeping me out of jail, I said with a laugh. What are older sisters for? I heard the dog bark again, followed by the low murmur of Gunnar's voice. I have to go. We're flying to Athenberg tonight for Queen Bridget's spring ball, and I haven't finished packing. But call me if you need me, okay? And when you get a chance, check on Dad. Alarm bells clanged in my head. Why? What's wrong? Is he sick? He'd sounded fine when we talked 2 weeks ago, before I left for Paris. No, nothing like that, Agnes assured me. He just sounded off when I called him a few days ago. I'm probably overthinking it, but I live so far away. It would make me feel better if you checked in on him. I will. Enjoy the ball. I stayed in the park for another hour after I hung up. In some ways, my talk with my sister provided much-needed clarity regarding my relationship with Dante. Venting did make me feel better, and as aggravating as Dante's attitude had been, it wasn't a deal-breaker. Yet. But what were my actual deal-breakers? Cheating and violence were non-negotiable. But what about lying? Different values. Lack of trust and communication. Where did I draw the line between what I could compromise on, like a little white lie about something small, and what I couldn't? I wished there was a definitive guidebook out there for this type of thing. I would pay good money for it. I would have stayed in the park longer, but the previously blue skies suddenly darkened. The wind picked up, and storm clouds gathered overhead, threatening rain. I quickly joined the other people streaming toward the exit, but I only made it a quarter of the way before rain gushed down, heavy and sudden, like the heavens were dumping buckets of water over the side of a balcony. Jagged lightning slashed across the sky, accompanied by deafening crashes of thunder. A curse escaped when I stepped into a puddle and almost slipped. Water plastered my clothes to my skin, and I tried not to think about how transparent my white shirt must be right now. It had been such a beautiful day minutes ago, but that was the unpredictability of a New York spring. 1 second it was blue skies and sunshine. The next, it was storming like the world was ending.
All right. Gave you guys an extra chapter because I'm having this episode come out late. So I gave you guys an extra chapter. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Love you guys so much. I will see you guys next time. And I won't be late next week. I promise. But I love you guys all. I'll see you later and peace.